Hello guys, this is Mr. C, 1983, 2005, also known as Dwayne Coffee. Today I want to do a tutorial on how to build these spot lamps on this display base. I got the majority of this base put together, but I'm just going to do this video for the spotlight because they can be a little difficult to put together, and there's just an easier way of doing everything. If you noticed, I've also put up all the gating and stuff. It was really difficult for me just to do this without the camera. These gates are not that easy to install. But for the most part, once you get the hang of it, they are relatively easy after that. But basically, on the disc or the manual, you know, it shows you like right here, these are like the guardrail arms that holds the gates in place. But these little poles that you stick up here, they got like little guides in the side of them. And basically, what you do is you take the gate right here and you slide it down. And then you put the glue in the bottom. There's like a channel, a small thin channel going around the display base. Your gates sit down in that. And that's where I applied my glue to glue them in place. But it's such tedious little tiny work. It would have been very difficult for me to capture all this on video. But for the most part, the gates, once you start out, it is difficult. But once you get the hang of it, then it's pretty easy after that. However, I just want to do this is going to be the display base build 2 and 3 together, basically. And I want to put together, there's like this radome thing that goes together right here. So that's going to be pretty simple. I can put that together on here and show you guys how everything goes together on it. And all the parts that are needed to put this radome together. This radome goes right here in the center part. But for right now, we're going to focus on this spotlight right here. Yes, I have my gloves on because I don't like to get, fingerprints on a fresh paint job and everything. So let's go ahead and tackle this spotlight together, and I'll show you how everything goes in. All right, here we go. All right, so you got the lamp that's coming through, right? In the instruction, it says to go ahead and install the lamp in the light pod and everything, and then feed the wires through. Actually, it's better to do it this way, the way I'm showing you, because it's a little bit of a pain in the neck, if you do it that way. I just found an easier way of doing it. I went ahead and wired everything up. Underneath this is a motherboard and all the plugs for the rest of the lights, and it makes it easier to install the lamp after the wire is up through the hole here. It's a lot easier for me, and it gets done a lot faster. So if you notice, there are two little leads coming off the light bulb. Those leads actually play a factor in how this light actually goes into the pod. The best way to show it here is this lead here, you fold it down, as well as this lead here, you fold it down. And this light is kind of like a rectangle. It's like a box. And with the leads the way they are, there's going to be a little bit of an access sticking out to the side. So inside the pod, it's actually a rectangle inside the pod. And you insert it in there, and it's strategically built like that to be put together like that. And it's a lot easier. So let's go ahead and start with putting the base down, the base of the light pod. So let's see here. You'll notice that on the base of the light pod, you got a shallower end on this side, and then you got like a deeper end on this side. And what I'm trying to show you what I mean here is this side right here is a little bit more open, a little bit more elongated, and this whole part right here is a little bit shallower. So basically what you want is the deeper end, that's where the wire goes through. The wire goes through the deeper end, not the shallow end. If you do it through the shallow end, you're going to have some difficulties. So it goes through the deeper end. So let's go ahead and get this all installed. And you'll see what I mean whenever I complete this. I'll put a little bit of CA glue or super glue, whatever you want to call it. Because you want your light pod base to be in there nice and strong so you can angle your light pod a little bit better. So use that there. I usually use a Q-tip to push the ends down, and you'll feel like a little click. Now the click is in there, and now I've installed the base. This is for the light pod, and you can see, let me get the camera on there a little bit better. You'll see that the shallower end goes right there, and the more open end goes towards the back side. And the reason why it's like that is for the wire to have more room to wiggle in there when you adjust the spotlight up and down. So that's what that looks like when it's all in there. So let's go ahead and continue getting this light pod put together. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more to try to help you guys out see this a little bit better. Let me adjust it just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, now you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of working on the side of my camera because it's going to be a little bit easier to move my arms around and stuff. So what you're going to need for the installation of the light pod is you're going to need the pod itself. There's a little lens that goes in the front end of it there, and on the back side is the cap. And you'll see inside there's like a little rectangle shape inside of it. That's where the light goes. So I found it easier to install the lens first and then put the light in and then put the back cap on. So what I like to do here is get the lens first. The lens is right here. And I put a little bit of CA glue on the tip of that. And then once I put the CA glue on there, I put the lens in. So now you can see that the lens is inside the pod now. Then we go to the back, and I like to take this wire here, crunch in the sides just a wee bit. Makes it a little bit easier for the installation. Okay, you push the light in there. And what I like to do to get the wire pushed up in there a little bit more, I use my tweezers and I give it just a little bit more of an oomph and basically let it dangle like that right there. And then my next part is the cap. There's a cap right here that goes on the end of it that seals everything in. And I put a little bit of CA glue on that. And then basically, you'll see how everything goes together here. Here we go. Okay, now you can see that the back cap is glued onto the light pod, and then the lens is on the front. And the next thing to do is actually snap it down on the light footer right there. It's pretty easy, not too hard. I'll just show you how it goes. You gotta basically feed the wire back down inside that hole right there, so that it makes it a little bit easier for the installation. And there you go. It popped down in there pretty good. And then what I usually do here is I bring the spotlight back just like that. And for the most part, it's going to stay in that position and not leave. So let me give you a roundabout look of what this display base looks like. You can see all the gating has been installed. It's not that easy, to be honest with you. I mean, once you get the hang of it, once you start installing multiple pieces, then it starts to get easy. But you can see, let me get my tweezers here. You can see on this part right here that I'm pointing at, you'll see right there, there's that groove I was telling you about. That groove the gate slides down into, as well as all the other gates. All these little poles have these little grooves in it. So the gates just basically slide down in there. And down here, this is where I applied my glue, down here in the bottom part. So you just basically slide that piece of gate down and then glue it down the bottom. Now, in the instructions, if you'd see here, in the instructions, it says to apply these little arms right here, these little metal arms all the way around, and you'll see like these little slits right here. That's where those little arms go into. I'm not going to install that on mine because I've seen through some threads and stuff that those parts are a nightmare. So they basically go in right here, those little arms do, and then they kind of hook over and then they fasten on top. Everybody who has installed these arms, it doesn't matter what glue you use, they always fall off and you're going to lose the parts anyway. So I was like, well, if I'm going to lose the parts anyway, there's really no reason to waste my time and install those, because for the most part, these gates are pretty sturdy. Once you glue them in, they're there. They're not going to go anywhere. So honestly, to each his own. Everybody's different when it comes to doing this build. Everybody likes that extra detail, but I just don't want to go through the time of losing each and individual piece that I placed in there. And we're talking about nearly 50 or so of these little parts, man, and they're a nightmare just to get a hold of with my tweezers. So I'm not going to waste my time doing that. I mean, if I choose to do it later, I can do an update and I'll just show a video how I installed them. But for right now, I'm not going to install them on here because the gates, for the most part, they're staying on there really nice and sturdy with the glue that I used. And underneath the display base, there's also gating on the bottom, and there's not very many videos out there that shows the gating that goes on underneath here, but you'll see there's gates underneath, and those were pretty tough. I ain't gonna lie about that. Those were pretty tough to get up in there. But for the most part, once you got them glued up in there, they'll stay. But that's that right there. That's the railing there for the side steps and such. So let's go ahead, and I want to zoom the camera back into its normal position. Sorry about that. That was me, folks. Didn't mean to show you that. So let's go ahead and let's build this radome. This radome is this section right here, and I've already got all the parts ready to rock and roll. So let's do this. So first off, you're going to need these radome caps. These are kind of like little clear yellow pieces. And then I got the rest of the radome here. Everything's been painted to my specifications, the way I want it. And then we got, let's see, I know we got a few more parts here. Okay, so we got these guys right here. So basically it says in the instructions, this part goes together first, from what I understand. So there's that. There's that. So then you're left with this. I went with metallic black because the paint scheme that I went with on the base is a metallic gray gunpowder look. I went with metallic black, just a little bit of a different contrast between the two colors. And then let's see, we got okay, this radome, the two holes on the side, they actually need to go in the down position. So you got a pin here, and a pin on top. So when you put this together, it goes in this type of orientation right here. Then this part goes in likewise, like that. And then it looks like the next piece to go on is this. This is a little tricky. This must go together a certain way for all those pins to line up. So let's rotate it one more time. Actually, it might. Let me see if there's any pins in the head here. Oh, okay. There's pins in here. So you push this through first. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. See, that makes more sense right there. That makes a lot more sense. And then it looks like it goes together in this orientation. Okay, so there you go. I made the part in the glass silver, so it looks a little mechanical. And then you got this little part right here, and it looks like, let's see, it goes off on the side, and we want to mirror it to the other piece. Not quite so. Let me get my tweezers here to pull back out. Nope, it's not wanting to come out. There we go. That looks 100 times better. So basically, this glass has like 3 parts inside the glass. Kind of looks like a caution sign or whatever. So I kind of made it look like, you know, identical to how this one is. You see how it's got 3 legs sticking out right there? I kind of made it, you know, mirror that. So next thing is this part goes in here. Just like that. So it goes in like that. So you got like that. And then, last but not least, Last but not least, this part goes like this. Just like that. So that is the radome. It is complied with. And so what I'm going to do now is I want to get my fan glue. Just to make sure this little glass right here, this little yellow piece right here doesn't fall out. I want to put just a little bit of this thin cement in there, just to guarantee me that it's going to stay. And all you need is really one or maybe two little dabs. It's so easy. Just dab the little corner and this glue will travel all the way to where it needs to go. And then last but not least, to finish up this build, you basically put this radome into place here. Let me make sure it went down all the way. Actually, no, it didn't. We got some tolerance fitment issues here. Let me hone out this circle here just a smidgen. Here we go. We just about got it all the way down. And that goes there like that. And what I'm going to do here, and it says in instructions just to pretty much keep it straight, I'm going to just cock it to the side just ever so slightly. Kind of make it look like it's in use. Kind of put it to the side here a little bit. I don't know, it doesn't really look any different if I do it that way. Okay, that's that for right now. That's pretty much it, y'all. That's the display base for the most part. This is like build, like the build steps 2 and 3. I'm very sorry that I didn't go in detail on how to put all this other stuff together. It's relatively easy. The motherboards that go in here, the instructions are really good. It tells you exactly where the motherboard goes, and there's like 4 screws that hold that on. And then like every light pod, there's a number on that motherboard. It tells you where each light pod plugs in. So there's that. And then I got the substructure down here. I put that all on. That would have been pretty hard to do this on camera by holding it up like this and trying to put each part in. But those are relatively easy to put in as well. I made mine like an olive drab green gray. So you got that going on. And then I used gold right here because that is where the light pod wires are. So I kind of wanted to make it, you know, brass. Like this is a military base, right? Like this is military. So military, like they like brass. So I wanted to put some brass in there. Some gunmetal collars. Blast doors is like this polished aluminum. I went with, like, for these fuel cells that hold the fuel cells, I used an off-white. You know, military doesn't really like to do a bunch of shiny collars or anything. And I used a lot of this military gray all around it. I painted all these little parts here. And then for the windows, they're like a bluish color. Try to make it look like the windows you would see at an airport crow's nest, or the airport towers. The glasses you can't really see in, so it's kind of like this bluish color. It kind of reflects. So that's what I try to imitate here, because these are like observatory windows to observe everything. But for the most part, guys, that really concludes my build. So I hope you guys really enjoy, and the last bit of this video is going to be showing you some pictures, up close detail, and how things look, and yeah, we'll go from there. Enjoy, guys. Much love. Thanks for hanging in here, watching this build with me. So now my next stage is actually working on the Gundam itself. And looks like we're going to start building these, looks like fuel cells, pods, or whatever, that holds fuel as part of this mobile suit. And so you guys who don't know, who are just joining this channel and don't know exactly what I'm building, this is the 172nd Tiefstrumer Expedition from Mechanicore. Tiefstrumer Expedition. It has all the extras in there, extra booster packs. It's basically a glorified version of the XS. I'm absolutely in love with this mobile suit. I've been waiting for years for a company to come out with a really sophisticated version of this, because I wanted more detail, you know, a little bit bigger than the one Bandai produces. Bandai creates a 1/100th. This is 1/72nd scale. There's tons and tons of detail and so many parts. But yeah. So the last bit of this video is me going to do a quick, you know, turnaround of this display base. And my final thoughts on this: it actually turned out really good. It went together pretty easy. There were some difficult parts there. If you just, you know, go back to your manual actually helps out a lot. So there's that. Give you a roundabout here. That's the on and off switch right there. USB-C plug goes in right there to turn the lights on. And in this video, I'll also show the lights on and everything, so you guys have a better idea of what everything looks like. So my apologies again. I accidentally reversed the camera a little bit ago. You kind of see my face. That's my work face, so it doesn't look very good. Yeah, so my work face is pretty dirty. My apology, guys. But anywho, peace, love, and joy. Take care. I hope you enjoy this, and I take constructive criticism very well. So if there's something on here that I could have done better, please let me know. Yeah, just let me know your thoughts on this, and let me know if you guys think, you know, if you guys like it or not. All right. Love you guys. Enjoy. Bye.